Do you need encouragement to turn tragedies into your own triumphant life story? If so, this podcast is for you. Listen to powerful guests who have persevered through challenges so you can gain strength to build your championship life. The host of Professor of Perseverance podcast, Dr. James Purdue.
Hey, it's that time again. And here we're going to interview a new guest. Hey, we try to keep them new, and we do repeat a few, but we got a new one here today. And so I'm all excited about this one. So she's tagged and branded herself as Angels in Action. And I didn't even ask the story. I just was captive by the title, the branding, and I want to go ahead and get started. And welcome to the show. And going to help us again come up with encouragement, try to find a way to get out of some situations, to help us move on in life and have a better life as well. Hey, welcome to the Professor of let me spit that out. Professor of Perseverance podcast. I am Dr. James Purdue, Professor of Perseverance himself. Welcome to the show. And hey, let's go and do this. Author of the book, Embrace the Angel. Welcome to the show, Patti DiMiceli.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Purdue. I really appreciate you having me on.
And I'll tell you, like I tell other people, you don't have to do the doctor so much. It's not like I can write out a prescription for you, but I can drive you to your pharmacist if you need me to. So, okay. so, all right, then. And you're a soon-to-be doctor, aren't you?
Say that again, please.
You're a soon-to-be doctor. Aren't you working on a doctorate?
I'm getting my doctorate in patience.
In patience, though, a lot of us need that. That's for sure. Yeah. So, it'd be well earned whenever you think you need it, when you want to put it there.
Truly, I do believe that each of us has a life lesson to learn and a life task. I know both, and my life lesson is patience. So I'm always getting an opportunity to hone my skills.
Not to take a lot of thunder from you, but since I'm in a wheelchair, I got my neck broke playing football, and I had to learn patience, sitting, waiting, being thankful. Not that I was ever thankful, but I was always, let's get this thing done, or if someone did something for me, it was, I would just, let's get it done. So one time, like an example, my brothers, they went out and washed my car for me. And instead of me saying, man, thank you, it looks great, dumb me points at the bottom and says, y'all didn't get down there at the bottom right there. Oh, dumb me. And they said, you can wash your car next time by yourself without us. I've had to learn patience, gratitude, and stuff, sitting. And it's been a good life lesson to learn.
Wow. So you definitely have my heartfelt, deep admiration. It's just an incredible thing that you've done with your life. It's just an amazing thing.
Well, thank you. And picking up this podcast has been not as challenging as it could be, I guess. Even though it did take me 3 tries to get it right so far, and I don't know if it's right, but at least we're going strong with it. But it's been rewarding as well, because I get to give other people like you a platform to get out there, and people don't have to listen to me all the time. And so it's been very rewarding for me for that. Hey, Nancy, thank you for coming in. Thank you for watching and listening. And today we have Patti, and she's going to talk to us about Angels in Action. All right, Patti, go ahead and get us started. Give us your story.
Well, believe it or not, I was born in the City of Angels, at the Queen of Angels Hospital. And the beginnings of my life were very, very difficult. I was born into an abusive environment. Actually, I remember being in the womb and feeling the blows, so to speak, of my father hitting my mother and all, yelling and screaming and such. So lots of abuse. I had to raise myself and my parents and my siblings, as a matter of fact. But what that did for me is it actually developed my perseverance muscle, if you will. because life is difficult many times. So I was able to get stronger, actually. I met and married my daughter Amber's father, and she was born. I really, really wanted her, and it was a beautiful thing. Unfortunately, I thought that I was going to die before she was 6. So what I did is I documented our life together so that after I died, she would know me. I was a single mom. I got divorced, and we ended up homeless. I was in Connecticut, and so I ended up getting a job in construction. So I would go to all these construction sites around New Haven, Connecticut, and of course they would laugh me off the job site. And one guy said, "Hey, if you show up at 7 o'clock tomorrow with a tool belt and a hammer, you've got a job." So I did, and I was one of the, very few women at the time working construction. I helped build the teletrack in New Haven, Connecticut, and there was a Denny's off of I-95 that I worked on, which was really neat. So I was not accepted initially, but once the men on the job realized they couldn't break me, then they accepted me into their brotherhood, so to speak. So yeah, I worked in the New Haven Hospital, Yale, New Haven, and it was quite interesting. I was able to find a room in a woman rented Amber and I a room. She was about 3 years old, and it was an August evening in 1979. As I'm stroking her hair, I discovered this big lump behind her right ear. And I heard in my head, my first thought was, oh my God, cancer. And this was even before I even knew kids got cancer at all. But then I heard, it's not you who will die, it's Amber. And I was just like, oh my God. So for the next several months, I took Amber to 8 different doctors all over the state of Connecticut, and nobody would biopsy it. And they just kept saying, don't worry about it. Lots of kids get lots of lumps and bumps. And I was like, oh my God. So she ended up falling and hitting the lump. It had been steadily growing. She fell and hit it on a fireplace, and it doubled in size. So I obviously took her to the emergency room, and they operated on her the next day. And the night before she went in for surgery, they were saying, oh, it can't possibly be cancer. And when she came out, it was cancer. It's a type of cancer called rhabdomyosarcoma. It was the muscle, the skeletal muscle surrounding her head, her skull. And so they excised it. They took it off, and I agreed to give her radiation. But because I knew it was cancer and nobody would believe me, I was doubting giving her chemotherapy. So I ended up, after she had the surgery and radiation, I ended up taking her with me to the New Haven Register, talking to the manager and asking them if I could make a public plea if there's any other cancer therapies anywhere in the world. The Associated Press picked up on it, and so it went all over the world. This was before personal computers. I can remember a time. So anyway, I did a lot of research. As I said, I documented everything. And I ended up deciding to give her immunotherapy. I had to take her to the Bahamas, Freeport, Bahamas, because Dr. Lawrence Burton, he was one of the founders of immunotherapy. And they wouldn't allow him to practice at St. Vincent's Hospital in New York City. So he had to go to the Bahamas, Freeport, Bahamas, to give immunotherapy. And as a result of us being in the media, we were on TV and in the news and such. And I didn't want them to take Amber away from me, because they did take a little boy in Massachusetts, Chad Green, who was 3 years old. His parents did not want to give him chemotherapy, so they made him a ward of the court, and like 6 police cars came and took him away from his parents. This just happened a few months before I discovered the tumor. So I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want them to take her away. And I was doing my best to find a way to save her life without killing her. So we had to sneak out of the country to Freeport, Bahamas. And gave her immunotherapy. Dr. Burton treated her at no cost. And people from all over the world, he was on 60 Minutes about 2 weeks after we arrived, and people from all over the world the next day, I mean, they were coming by air ambulance to the clinic. So I ended up, they call it pulling blood, drawing blood. I'm not a nurse, but he needed help. Dr. Burt needed help. So I worked with a lot of the cancer patients around the world. I pulled Amber's blood 3 times a day. And to get her used to having her blood pulled, and she had shots, a series of 4 different shots 3 times a day at the end. She ended up pulling Gary's blood, my second husband. She ended up pulling his blood, and kind of got her used to the shots and the blood draw. And the tumor that started to grow under the scar actually began to flatten out and disappear. But then she got tonsillitis, and her immune system couldn't keep up the fight. So Dr. Burton actually brought a team of surgeons from Montreal to Freeport, Bahamas, to see if they could save Amber's life. And in the end, the tumor had grown too big. It was about the size of a walnut. There was as much inside as outside of her head. So because we were in the media and there was a lot of politics around cancer, we couldn't find a surgeon that would debulk the tumor, which means just take what you can and the immunotherapy would do the rest. So Dr. Bernie Siegel, an amazing man, we're still friends. He said, look, I will take Amber and treat her as my own, and I'll assemble a team of surgeons and see what we can do to save her life. So Bernie took Amber into St. Raphael's Hospital in New Haven, Connecticut, and it was an amazing experience. So I feel incredibly blessed that Bernie did try to save her life, but in the end, I was down in the chapel at the hospital, and I just heard, let her come home. So the last month of Amber's life, it was such a beautiful experience. Bernie helped me help Amber cross over, and we used spontaneous drawings. Amber, he uses Susan Bach's spontaneous drawing, and the last month of her life, I recorded everything she said. While I was in St. Raphael's, she was getting some tests, and so I was waiting. I was buying her something in the gift shop, and I heard, turn around, and I did, and I saw this big rack of gigantic golden keys, and I heard, give this to Amber and tell her it's the key to heaven, so whenever she feels that she's going to die, she can open the golden gates. And so it was that sort of symbolism that that allowed me to help Amber and help myself with her transition. And so it was midnight, October 29th, 1980. And Gary and I, we were celebrating. They sang, Amber and Gary rather, sang happy birthday to me, because my 27th birthday was October 30th, the next day. So after we sang happy birthday, then Amber slipped into a coma. She chose what she wanted to die and go to heaven in. And so we dressed her in her clothes. She held on to the key, and she died at home. I was telling her, I actually have an audio recording of this, and I transcribed it for her book, Embrace the Angel. And you can get a free PDF ebook on our website. But I was telling her, Amber, thank you so much for coming and showing me what love is. I love you so much. And everything I wanted her to know. And as I'm talking, all of a sudden tears started coming down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Gary, she's crying. And he's like, no, I don't think so. So I wiped her tears, and then a lot of tears started coming down. And I realized that she could hear me, but she couldn't respond. So
tears coming down her face.
Yes.
When you say tears, so it's not yours at that moment, it
No,
was
no,
hers. Okay, okay.
her tears, yeah. And so I realized at that moment that she wasn't afraid to die. Most kids are not afraid to die. I do work with people that are dying and children. Um, so when I said the words, "Go now, Amber, be with God, Amber," the moment that I said that, she stopped breathing, and I physically felt her spirit merge, went right through my body. It was like when you sit on your leg and you feel that buzzing sound like electricity. My
Hmm.
whole body was buzzing. And I felt it was like a physical miracle that she merged with the divine and went right through me. So the moment of her death was actually the opposite of what I wrote in the journal, how I would respond when she died. I mean, I thought I would collapse because she was my world.
Hmm.
And I didn't. It was a physical miracle that I physically felt her, and because of that gift, um, I'm able to, realize that we change. She said amazing things before she died, and again, I have.
How old was she when she died?
She was 4.5,
4.5. All right.
but she said to me, "Mom, when I die, I'll still be Amber. I'll just be different." And I realized that she was telling me what happens after our bodies die. We don't go away. I didn't lose a daughter. She didn't pass away. She simply changed. So she's with me now. She's with us now. Um, and the other thing that I remember her saying, she said, I was passing through the living room, putting some laundry away, and I heard her. She was about a few days before she died. She was laying in front of the fireplace looking at the flames, and I heard her say something. So I went over there and I bent down. I said, "What did you say, Amber?" And she was annoyed that she had to repeat herself. But she said, "I said, I know I'm here to help a lot of people." And I realized, I was like, oh my God. I mean, how could she know this? So I've come to understand that for the last 40 plus years, I've worked with the bereaved and I've worked with the critically ill and dying. And I've come to understand that my purpose for being here on earth is to do just this, is to share her message and the miracle of her life and death with others. Um, I'm a life coach and an end of life doula, and I'm actually now getting trained through David Kessler. He worked with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and he wrote a couple of books with her. He also wrote a book called Finding Meaning, the Sixth Stage of Grief, and he added the sixth stage with the permission of the Ross Foundation, Elizabeth's son. And what I've come to understand is in death and even in life, when you find meaning, I think it makes all the difference. So,
Well, that's an incredible story. With this, you're the second one that I've talked to, not on my podcast, many years ago when I was in college,
mhm.
and we had a math teacher, and he was talking about how his daughter, and he was because then I wasn't driving, being in a wheelchair. My family would have to come pick me up after, so I was always the last one there, and so I got to meet him and talk to him, personally, got to know each other, and he was telling how his daughter, and I think she was like 7, and he talked about how he felt her spirit and everything go through his fingertips and out. And you're the second person that told me that you felt this, and I would think that would be just a credible gift that you feel that knowing where they're going and the energy coming from there, and I would think that would be just an incredible gift.
Truly. And on my 27th birthday, I mean, you know,
There you go. What a present.
I know it
So,
really did change the rest of my life forever.
and again, we're speaking with the author of Embrace the Angel, Patti, and she said briefly mentioned you can get a free ebook, and we'll get to that here in a little bit on where you can go get it on her website from there. So, All right, now, Patty, a couple of things that come to mind when you were talking was one, becoming a woman in construction. So that's pretty cool. I like a woman that can swing a hammer, and so I mean that my mom, before I got in the wheelchair, she's a single parent. She raised me and my other two brothers uh, by herself mostly. And but I was a mechanic some, so she would get underneath the car and help me hold the transmission while I'm trying to tighten it and trying to move things underneath the hood and help with the brakes. And so, yeah, women to get their hands dirty, I'm all with them. So that's cool. And so,
Well,
yeah,
thank
and I can
you.
see, there you go. And I can see with your daughter, Amber, you're going, I've never drawn blood before, but I can swing a hammer and get some blood if we have to. So, so,
Yeah, I tell you. Yeah, I do feel, I live full time in Angelina. So what you see behind me is my fifth wheel. It's a 28-foot Grand Design fifth wheel, and I call her Angelina, and I pull her with a Ford F-250 Lariat that I call Larry.
there you
So I
go.
have Larry and Angelina, and I'm living in the country, and it's next to some amazing friends, Larry and Rita and their daughters. And it feels so good to be in the arms, figuratively speaking, here and be here in Annapolis, which I love. I call it the headquarters for my circle of angels. Um, the people here are outstanding. One of the things I do, I've done it for several years now, is let me see if I have some here. Yep. So I carry these what I call little pebbles. You can
Hmm.
see them.
Yeah.
And what I do is wherever I am, I always have some. And so if I'm at a restaurant or, if an attendant in the bathroom or wherever it might be, so I go, I said, oh, I have something for you. I'm a pebble thrower in the still pond of life. And people are kind of looking at me like, do I trust her? What is she selling? Is this religious? I don't know. And I just say, choose one for yourself. I hold it out. Choose one for yourself and one for someone you love. So they'll pull it out. It has the cover of the book. I tell them you can have a free PDF on the website. Actually, she's holding the key to heaven here. And so I'll say, on the back of the pebble/coin, there's a special word for you. So they peel it off, and this one happens to be faith. You can see that.
Uh huh.
And I've passed out thousands of these little pebbles, these little guardian angel coins, as I've traveled around the world. And so it's whatever the word is, there's 5. There's faith, love, courage, faith, love, courage, peace, and my favorite is hope. And these little tiny coins have literally changed lives. And what I've come to understand is that we are incredibly powerful, each of us humans, in our own unique way. When I throw these pebbles, I'm never meant to know where the ripples will touch. And I have these, I created these because of the pebbles and because of the key to heaven. It's the one part of grief and grieving that so far in the last 40 plus years, I haven't seen addressed. And that is when our loved one dies, we miss them. We miss their bodies. We miss their seeing and hearing and touching them. So several years ago, I learned how to paint silk from amazing woman, Rebecca Pearson. And I was facilitating a group of bereaved parents. They call them newly bereaved. Their children had just died. And I was thinking, for the mothers, again, you miss the physicalness as well as the presence of the person. And I thought, what if I could paint and embrace the angel scarf and they could literally feel their loved ones? So I started hand painting these scarves and putting inspirational quotes along the edge. But my hand was ending up like a claw because the demand was so big. So I started traveling around the world and taking photographs of angels. And I tried to find a place that would be reasonable that I could put these photographs of angels onto real silk So I've made scarves and ties, and then pillow covers. That's my favorite. So I have scarves and ties. We have a Be an Angel, Comfort an Angel program with my company, Tobias and Company. And we have that giving back division that we call Embrace the Angel. So for each scarf, tie, or pillow purchased, we donate one to a bereaved mom, dad, or critically ill child.
I just see
And
those on your webpage.
oh, I just love them. But it's so cool, James. I collected 99 drawings of angels from kids around the world and put them onto a silk pillow, silk satin actually, so that this is a perfect example. I was researching the lifestyle of living in an RV, and Carolyn's RV, she's a YouTuber. She had a contest, and she said, "Hey, if you've got products you'd like to donate, I'm going to hold these, to give you like a bump up and just let people know about you." So I donated a scarf, a tie, and a pillow. And the woman who won it, she was in Florida, and she wrote me a beautiful email, and she said, "There's a little 5-year-old girl that I gave your pillow to. Her mom, who was 29, was dying of cancer. And she took that pillow and crawled into bed with her mom. And the woman said, so after her mom passes, she will have this pillow to remember her mom by." And it just was so beautiful, James, because I have the key to heaven, and that's my physical reminder. So these silky angels, I call them, people can have, and you don't have to have a loved one pass. Just if you love angels, I mean, a lot of people do love angels. And so, yeah, it's a really, really beautiful way to elevate those that are suffering. And there's so much suffering in the world right now.
Hey, if you don't have someone at the moment, a loved one's passed away, which you're blessed if you hadn't experienced that
Yeah.
they're still here. Hey, get something for yourself because you're going to go one day, and there's an example you can pass down to your children or husband, wife, somewhere, brother, sister, somewhere. You can pass this gift down just personally for yourself, and then as a hand me down. I think that would be great. And I love what you said. This is one of the reasons I love this podcast I've started is getting to meet a bunch of people, hear their stories, and then get me all fired up. And Nancy's usually here with me, so she gets fired up. And she's already asked about you got a messenger page that what you were talking about with all that, and that'll be your web page at the front, and so she said she needs something like that right now. So
Aw.
we'll work something out with Nancy on this, and but oh, what I'm getting to is I love, and we hear it. I don't know if we hear it all the time. But we've heard it before. The ripple effect. I throw a rock out there and watch the ripple effect. But here you are, not just using a metaphor and everything, you're using it as a real ripple effect. Even though we don't see the water rippling, you give to someone, they take a second one to pass it on, and there's your ripple, and moving it on. And with that's creative and thinking, and we'll really appreciate you doing that. That's awesome. So now I want to go back to your 5 coins. You
Mhm.
have faith. Keep the last one, hope, out for a second. What's the other four? Faith, love.
Faith, love, peace, courage.
All right, now let's start with those four.
Mhm.
If you look closely, to me, the majority of us, the world, have some type of faith. We don't have to agree on what it is, but we have some higher faith that we look upon. All right. Courage, depending on what your faith is, it may take a lot of courage to get out there, for the way people are today. And the courage to move on in life whenever something happens. All right. Love, we're all loved somewhere, no matter how bad we are. Even Ted Bundy, his mother said, I don't agree what he did with all the killings, but I still love him. He's my son. So, yeah. So, and then what was the other one?
Faith, let's see, peace.
Peace.
Mhm.
And we're all going to come to peace somewhere in life, whether we passed away, find that peace and where we're being accepted and everything like that. But here's where I think a lot of people are missing is that hope.
Me too.
because if we don't have that hope that it's going to be a better day, or even a better next week, or a better next 5 minutes, we don't have that hope. What do we got to stand on? All the other stuff is irrelevant. So, and
Yeah.
not to steal the story and everything, but I had lost hope in life years ago, and I attempted suicide 3 times in 3 days. That's how bad I wanted out. And that's when, after I lived, I saw a psychologist for a year, and he's one says you need to get out and talk and spread this hope, perseverance, your message to people. Back then, it was just go speak and write a book. And then over time, we've got the internet, YouTube, podcasting, however else we can get our word out now. So let me ask a question here now, Patti.
Yeah.
Before all the great internet and you're pushing out your message, how are you getting your message out other than going to a restaurant or seeing someone at the store? Hey, take this pebble and take a second one and pass it on. Um, I don't know, cold calling, writing letters to anonymous people and sending them out. I mean, how are you getting your message out before the good old technology kicked
Yeah.
in big?
Well, the phone calls. I mean, if you go on embracetheangel.com, basically that's the hub of everything. I mean, I'm on Patreon. I'm launching a really cool Kickstarter campaign called Grace's Angels. This little 9-year-old girl. Once we start the Kickstarter, it'll be launched next month. So she took this great angel drawing project back to her class, had all the kids draw it, and then her mom sent me an audio, 45 seconds. It's on the embracetheangel.com as well. She said, so I'm going to collect 100 angels for sick kids around the world. And that's what she's been doing. And so we're going to launch that on Kickstarter. But I was reaching out to the media, basically, the news media, the reporters. People have followed the story through the media for a very long time, WBAL in Baltimore, since I've moved here to Annapolis. And just the media, newspapers, the Associated Press, again, they've carried the story, and, the good old fashioned newspapers and TV before the internet.
And anybody that would listen.
Anybody. Well, I try not to preach because
Yeah, there's a difference than pushing it than encouraging. There's a difference. So
I try to be gentle because, let's be honest. I mean, no one wants to talk about death and dying. I shouldn't say no one, because there's a great community. When I became
it's a taboo. It's a taboo. That people don't want to talk about it until it's that time, and when they should be preparing for that time to make it easier on your loved ones. And I've always told my family that when I'm dead and gone here, I would never tell someone how to do a funeral. I mean, whatever they think's best, hey, I'm all for it. I have no way would I say anything bad. But I'm one of them. I don't see putting $8,000, $10,000 in a coffin in a grave. I'd rather them have a big old party that I'm gone, and even to save even more money, don't cremate me over to funeral home. Just throw me up on the barbecue and cremate me. Now, I know legally they can't do that, but said I'd prefer y'all just take that money and have a great big old party and celebrate life and go from there. But I would never again tell anyone how to conduct that, because it's a personal decision, and I would never try to sway anybody either way.
No. Yeah, I'm learning a lot from David Kessler, and I'm really excited to be certified as a grief educator. But people that are grieving are not broken. They don't need to be fixed. They need you to hold sacred space and, validate that their feelings are completely natural. But you don't have the right to take their grief away. So, I'm just so blessed to be working with people that are, serving them really, that are dying and grieving. To me, it's to be held in trust and to be honored to share their deepest tears and grief and sorrow. Wow. To me, there's no greater honor on this earth than serving those that are grieving and those that are dying.
That is powerful, yeah. Especially, when that time has come that we're all going to go. That as a friend of mine who worked in purity milk once says, the expiration date has come up. And so, not that he died, but we're all got an expiration date. We just don't know it for it. But he was going in retirement. That's what he said,
Mm,
retiring from the business. But he said the expiration date has come up. We're all going to experience that. And but
yeah,
to have someone there at your side, I mean, it had been hard last year with COVID. The people weren't allowed in the hospitals to be with the ones dying,
I
and
know.
them dying alone or dying with strangers. The nurses, the doctors, they had no clue who they were, but they were doing the best they can to comfort them. And man, that had been so difficult on all parts. And I'm glad I didn't have to be part of that or witness it. But man, that had been so difficult last year. So,
Well, even this year, I mean, it's not over. That's for
oh
sure.
no, it's not. Yeah, even this year,
No.
exactly.
And
So,
really, the Silky Angels, they feel such a great need that people have to be touched, to be surrounded by angels, in their time of need. And yeah, I really feel blessed that God gave me the skills and tools and talent. I'm just blessed. I mean, and I couldn't possibly keep that to myself, you know?
and it's incredible to me that you. Sorry, you found your purpose so young in life with your daughter passing, but it's a noble, well worth, amazing gift to give to someone that's grieving and going through the process of dying. And so I'm glad that you're there, and the other people that are angels that are going along with that to make it easier for that transition, for them to be comfortable and go from there. So, talking with Patti, Embrace the Angel. Go ahead, Patti, tell us how your website and stuff, other social media, how we can get a hold of you in case anybody wants to get with you.
Sure. Well, embracetheangel.com. There's a really, really cool video, a 2-minute trailer that has me, and it has Angelina and Larry. It's really, really cool. I actually hitched her up on my own, of course, surrounded by my circle of angels, figuratively speaking. But I hitched her up, drove 1,000 miles to Florida last winter, stayed there for the winter, and then drove 1,000 miles back. And wow, was I proud. It was challenging at times. And there was somebody that had come by, a few people, they were like in Florida, they saw me and they saw this and they knew that I was a single woman. And they're like, you towed this all by yourself? And I looked at it and I'm like, oh,
That's
I
right.
did.
That's right. You go, oh, whoa, I had
I
that with
know.
me. Hey,
And
I
I
can
was like,
I can swing a
amazing.
hammer. I can drive this.
Well, they would say, you're so brave. And I'm like, brave? Me? Because I know myself when I'm sitting at the bottom of the shower crying in despair. But I really came to realize, actually, there's on the YouTube channel, the Embrace the Angel YouTube channel, I talk about this. And I came to realize that there's the bravery or courage. There's a sacred space between, oh my God, and holy crap. There's that sacred space there. That's where bravery lives. And I can't be there all the time. Sometimes you're going to be in holy crap, and sometimes, oh my God.
Yep, that's right.
But then I realize it's like a teeter totter. It's that special pivot point that you can go to and you can dwell in sometimes, but you can't always live there.
In science, we call that pivot point a fulcrum. So it's a fulcrum. So,
Oh,
all
really?
right. Oh, yes. I was a science teacher for a while, and that pivot point is a fulcrum. Yes.
Fulcrum.
So, huh. And so, all right. Hey, I'm glad you got to bless me and bless others being on here. This is incredible, Patti. And I was going to ask you something, and then I done got that sometimers going on with me, and so. But when you mentioned your website and YouTube and you got any other social media. I'll put those in the description for anybody to
Yeah,
make it easier for them just to click on it. So
yeah,
if
I
you
can
just
send you the links. We have we're fully we're just really, spreading our word. But one of the coolest things I'm doing right now, I'm in the stage, I am planning the Power of Pebbles and Angels nationwide tour in the
oh
spring.
yes,
So
and
that's really exciting.
you
Yeah,
need to be recording, videotaping your
absolutely.
interactions with people.
Yeah. Yeah,
To that, it's going to be powerful for other people to see that.
I think
So
so too.
yeah,
Yeah,
I guess that, and then you can take some of this stuff and get their stories as well. And there's you another book. So
I'll
I
come
like it.
scoop you up, James.
I like well, if you come through close to Nashville, Tennessee, then we can meet up, and I can give you my
Love
story.
that.
And I would love to get these pebbles and everything too with the coins. So, but I was
Uh,
going to mention a minute ago. You know why people say we're so brave in certain
yeah,
areas? It's because they've never experienced driving, your big rig like you did, and so they're thinking, man, a single woman, and probably looking at your age as well, and they're going,
yep,
man, you're so brave to take it down a hill or up a hill, a stern uh, incline, a steep incline is what I'm saying. And so, yeah, so when someone has an experience, I mean, I've had people say, I couldn't do what you're doing in a wheelchair. Well, you don't know because you're not in a wheelchair. So unless you experience something, you don't know how brave you really are. And also, I think we go through some things in life, maybe not everything, but it teaches us how strong we really are. And
yeah.
again, we can use all this information to prepare us for the next event, tragedy, situation, problem comes in life. And then we can, the biggest thing, like you mentioned earlier, we can also assist and help other people.
That's the key. I mean, I'm brave sometimes. Sometimes I'm very scared. And other times when I know I need help, I'll ask for it. I really will. Asking for help for me, because I was raised and I had to basically be independent and do everything. Now I'm not afraid to ask.
Yeah, but I had another guest a couple of weeks ago, and she is her main thing. She says, "Don't be afraid to ask for help." Where people that don't ask, they view it as a weakness. If I have to ask, that shows how weak I am. In contrary, she says, when you ask for it, that's how strong you are to realize your limitations and ask for help to be able to succeed in where you want to do or go.
Yep. Well, one thing I know for sure, and Amber taught me a lot, I'm never alone. And I'm always surrounded by my circle of angels, whether I can see them with my eyes or see them with my heart. They're always around me. And you are part of my circle now, James,
That's
and
right,
all
and
your
I'm glad to be
listeners.
there, and I'm definitely glad that you and I, our path has crossed for
Me too.
us to encourage and be angels with each other and help other people. So
Me
I'm definitely
too.
glad for that. So, well, Patty, thanks for being on. I'm going to ask you one more thing here, if you don't mind. That we know there's people struggling, and I don't care what area it is. Um, they're hurting and struggling. If you can give some type of powerful message to help them get through today, to make it possible to see that hope for tomorrow, if you can do
Mhm.
that for us, that'd be great.
Well, let me just say this. This little tiny, tiny pebble has transformed lives. And I am just the thrower. I'm just the thrower of the pebbles, the pebble thrower. Any tiny gesture, a smile, a touch, a warm, kind, elevating word. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Something small can change a life. So just do little tiny baby steps. And frankly, there have been times in my life where I couldn't even take a baby step. I literally had to crawl.
That's right.
Just keep moving forward. That is the key for me. I don't know for anybody else, but for me, it's just move towards the light. And actually, this is so cool, James. I just designed this really neat
Oh yes.
sticker. and it says, live in the light,
Yes.
because there's so much darkness in the world.
Yes,
If
there
you
is.
aim towards the light and you live as best you can in the light, all good things will happen. Not every moment of every day, but I think living in the light and moving towards the light in a forward direction.
When the person that's going through that tunnel of struggles and they see that light at the end of the tunnel and
Yeah,
realize it's not a freight train coming, they know they have beat it. They know
yeah,
that good things are on the horizon for them.
yeah.
Patty, thank you for being here. I mean, you've been
Thank
an amazing person, and I love. Again, sorry for the suffering earlier, but for you to take so much greatness out of that struggle and having Amber there with you to encourage you to push it on, that's just a godly thing, and I'm glad he was able to do that with you.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for your time. And just want to thank all your listeners. I've listened to your podcast as well, and I've gotten so much inspiration from all the folks you've had on. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it, James.
Thank you. And anyone else that's coming in on the replay, be sure to share this out to someone. You don't have to have a child that's passed away. You don't have to be a spinal cord injury in a wheelchair like me. But the message of providing hope and persevering, pushing through trials and tribulations, still the same. It's going to help someone. So, and they say, Patty, this stuff on the internet is going to be there forever. So, 100
Yeah.
years from now, someone's going to get inspired and motivate and encourage and find that hope from you. So,
Hey, James, I have one
yeah,
really quick quote.
go
It's
ahead.
by George Isle. And whenever someone gets the hope coin, I always let them know this, that hope is faith holding out its hand in the dark.
All right, that's awesome. Yeah, hope is
Isn't that
faith,
beautiful?
holding out his hand in the dark. Yeah. Now let me ask this question here, and we'll get ready to get off. Now, when you pass out your pebbles and the coins on the backside, do you know what coin it is? Is there some marking on there that you go, they look like they need hope? Let me get this hope coin, or is just a
Yeah.
big surprise for you as well?
It's a big surprise. It's been profound, let me tell you. It
Yeah.
really has.
So, all right. Thank you, Patty. Been
Thanks again.
remarkable discussing and interviewing. And everyone else, do something today, tomorrow, something next week that's going to help you persevere past your paralysis.